All you YouTubers and growers out there, Jared Smith, another garden update, and we've got quite a few things to cover, so this is probably going to be a slightly lengthier video than some of my other ones. So let's go ahead and get straight to it with what I've got going on behind me. So, yeah, as you can tell, I've built this trellis here for the tomato plants, and if you look, you can see that some of them are tied up. Actually, most of them are. Some of them are tied right onto it, but I've got them all kind of working towards this trellis. I did a couple things. First off, let me see if I can find a good example here. If you look at this tomato plant, you can tell that I've stripped it of all the suckers. So you don't see anything vining out the sides of it other than just the leaves and the flowers where the fruits are happening. And then you can tell this one's already starting to fruit here. When you do that, you actually force the plant to focus more energy on fruit production, and so I should get a whole lot more fruits out of this and a lot less leaf production, a lot less stem production. And because there's a lot less plant to deal with, you can plant them really close to each other, and they'll still do really well. These are, to be quite honest with you, way too closely planted together. They're way too densely planted. These are all volunteer plants from last year. I didn't have to plant a single one of these. This is just from tomatoes that fell off, that were overripe or what have you. They were left on the ground and then they seeded. So that's part of why they're planted the way that they are, but it's also a really lazy way to get a abundance of tomatoes without having to hardly do any work. So I'm okay with how that process is working out for me. And then like I said, I'm tying them up, which makes it easy to maintain and makes it easy to identify where the fruits are. I mean, when you've got everything trimmed up and everything's going streamlined up and down, it just makes it easy to manage the plants even when they are densely planted like they are here. So that's sort of the big things that are going on here. A lot of market gardeners use this technique, and actually instead of like making a trellis, they might even make like a pole structure, so like a pole straight up all the way across and then back down, and then just literally tie the plants to strings like I've done here all the way up to the top of it. So but I have the materials to make a trellis. Thought it'd be good to have the extra support, so that's what I went with. Alright, I'm going to take you guys now, actually let's start over here in these pots before we get to the backyard. This plant is stretching and vining, and I think it's trying to find more sun. It's almost at the top of this fence here, which is about at eye level with me. I'm about 5'6", so so it's about 5 feet in terms of height here, in terms of stretching. My neighbor's tree, which is a really nice tree, is just shading out some of the sun in this area. It's one of those tropical type trees, I believe. Really nice tree. It's just shading out the area, and I've not got the inclination to cut it yet. But at any rate, I think that's what's going on with this plant. Same thing that's going on here. This one's actually going underneath even a little bit to try and find some sun. And then I've got a cucumber plant over here that's in a pot. Again, they look healthy. Otherwise, they got plenty of nutrients. They're just not quite getting enough sun to make fruits. So I think that's what's going on over here. Alright, I'll take you guys now over to where the potatoes are. Alright, so we're over here with the potatoes, and just today I started noticing that they're starting to yellow a little bit on the tips, and they're starting to get this little brown thing going on. I don't know if that's coming out on the video or not. You can kind of see sort of the brown sort of burntness on there. So at any rate, I don't think that's a good thing, so I'll have to look up and see what's going on. Otherwise, they had been doing fine, growing well, starting to seed. You see, it's there's one of the seed pods there. Having a hard time getting this thing to focus. Apologize for that, guys. But at any rate, that's plant's doing really fine, all of them, including these down here. There's a big cluster of the seed pods there. So those are all doing real good. Let's look at this circular patch here. You can see I harvested some greens this morning, so I actually got another crisper full of greens here. The carrots are still growing. Those are very immature still, so those will still need to keep going. Where I cut the rest of the greens, though, I think I'm going to start ripping this up because it is starting to go to bolt. It's hot outside. So it's about that time to start ripping this up and replanting. And I'm thinking about putting beets in here and get some more root crops going. And that sort of thing. The cabbage on the outside, as you can tell, is starting to head up and is really looking quite nice all the way around. So that's all the cabbage all the way around the outside. It all looks pretty much like that one I was just showing you there. They just look really, really nice. Best year I've had for those. Best year I've had for kale too, regarding that. So it's been a good year for both those crops. All right, I'll take you guys now inside the main section of the garden here in just a minute. Okay, I'm starting with my squash bed, and the squashes are all doing great. I've already started plucking some fruits off of them, so those are all great. One of the good things here is the Malabar spinach. As you can tell, that little vining thing that's coming all the way up, those are Malabar spinach plants, so those are definitely vining. They're making their way up to the trellis. On that end. This end, they're a little bit slower. I'm not really sure why, because I think this end actually gets more sun, which is weird because they're sun-loving type of plant. So I'm not sure why these are growing slower. Not really too concerned about it, because I know that they'll eventually get up to the trellis just like these guys down here did. So that's kind of what's going on in this bed. I'm going to see if I can find a squash plant that is maturing some. I can't really find any. I might have harvested all the fruits. I've been doing real good about that lately. See if I can find one down here. No, but you can see all the flowers, so you can definitely tell it's flowering and tell the plants are in production. So let's go ahead and take you around to bed number 2. I do got some weeding to do, guys. These beds are not 100% clean. Oop! I did find a squash here. Oh. Boom, you see a little tiny one right down under there. So they're all producing. Hey, little bee friend. Sorry about that, buddy. Alrighty, in this bed, this is sort of what it looks like when the basil goes to bolt. You can see the leaves are getting sort of more flower-esque, if you will, starting to make these little florets. So this I'll need to come and top off today. It'll expose the lower branches underneath, and it'll make the plant actually a little bit bushier. It'll also preserve the flavor a lot better. So I will do that later today. The peppers are all doing fine. They're not maturing a whole lot, but we're also not into the hot part of the season. You got one down there. I think I might pluck that one here today, actually. Well, we do have a couple of red ones. That must have happened over the past few days there. Cool. So I got a couple peppers down here to pluck out. That's cool. That was a surprise. Peppers all here looking good. There's a bell pepper under there. It looks good. These two were mature, but bugs got to them, so I just dropped them right where they were. They'll decompose. They'll be fine. And the peppers on this plant all looking good too. You can see there's several peppers there. So that's all good. This basil, this purple one, looks just fine. You can tell the leaf structure on these are bigger and just more characteristic of what you're used to on a basil plant. So you can kind of see the difference there between what it usually looks like and here where it's looking a little bit tighter. You can see it's starting to look a little bit more flower-like. So that's letting me know it's getting ready to go to bolt. And we're just going to stop it before it does that. We're going to deadhead it, snip the top of it, and that'll be good. The other bed of greens, I harvested that today too, so I'm not going to take you up close on that. It's just more greens. And then carrots, I did harvest some of my carrots. Nothing special there, so there's not really a whole lot else to show you. And in the fifth bed here, squashes and cucumbers. Actually, I'll take you over here and show you this before I show you the garlic, because there is something to show you with the garlic. Oh, gotta make my way through the sea of squashes. Here's my cucumber plants, and you can tell they're making lots of cucumbers. Let's see if I can get around here on the side. Plant just looks good. You see all the different flowers that are on there. You see some more fruits down there. So that's good on that plant. This one's got a couple bigger ones on there. So like you can see that big one there. There's another one on here somewhere, but I can't quite find it now. Oh, there it is. It's on the other side. You can see that one down there way over there. So those will be ready, I think, tomorrow. And then this one, these cucumbers seem to keep battling with these tomato plants over here on the side, and they're just kind of fighting each other. I'm just going to let it happen because the tomatoes, yet again, are volunteer plants, and they wanted to volunteer the plant to grow there, so I'm going to let them go. But I really wanted cucumbers this year, so I bought cucumber plant starts, and they're doing fine. Doesn't look like the tomatoes are bothering them at all. Looks like, if anything, they are definitely bothering the tomatoes more, because they're definitely keep on grabbing onto them with these little tendrils here, and they just grab onto the plant and kind of choke it out, like quite literally. So, at any rate, like I said, it's doing fine. Now let's show you what's going on with this garlic. I left the scapes on several of these, and you can tell that plant there might be like at prime maturity, because I've read on a couple boards that when the scapes point straight up towards the sky, that the garlic is ripe, like it's ready. I was hesitant about that because, as you can tell, these two scapes have not broken open. They're still completely closed. They're not opened yet. But I went a little bit further down. I'm going to walk around the other way. And this is the same bed, so this is the same variety. And let's see if I can get this thing to focus in. But you can see this is opened some. Having a hard time getting it to focus, guys, but you get the idea here. These are starting to open up here on this end. Same thing with that one there. See, it's just starting to open up. You can see all the little flowers on the inside. What I can't see right now are the bugles. So, not in this variety anyways. I see lots of little flowers, kind of like the flowers you see on chives. Very much so like that. Is what those look like. But I don't see bugles on that one. Now, let me show you one that has bugles on it. Different variety. And you can actually, this one is showing you a little bit of everything. Look at that. You can see the bugles in there. You can see the flowers around it. And so this one's got a little bit of all of that going on. So I'm going to collect the bugles out of these. And then I'm going to leave the flowers on. I'm going to leave the plants in the ground. And we're going to let them complete their cycle, because that'll allow me to get true seeds. The bugles are another way for the plant to asexually reproduce. It'll reproduce on its own. The cloves are one way. The bugles are a second way for the plant to do that. But to get true seeds, you have to let these little flowers get pollinated and produce little seeds. Again, they're very much so like chive seeds or onion seeds, really tiny little black seeds, and those are the true seeds. And that's a way to actually make your own varieties, which is kind of what I'm going to do. I didn't realize that that's what I was doing when I first started letting these scapes stay on here, but these will be varieties that will grow very specifically well in this environment, and be my own variety. I'll be the only one that has them, unless I share them, which would be pretty cool. So anyways, that was the last thing I wanted to show you guys, was these garlic scapes. And then when I harvest the whole plant, I'll let you guys know if the bulb size suffered any. I'll let you guys know if there were any noticeable differences in the overall bulb size. Oh, there's another one. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that video. Hope you guys learned a little something. I certainly did. If you guys liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe to see more, and I will talk at you guys later.